Oscar with OQ Detailing in beautiful San Diego, California. And in this video, I want to show you how to remove hard mineral water spots on glass and on paint. So I'm going to go over the different circumstances you may encounter, the different procedures you want to take, and the different products you're going to need. So in this vehicle, we have hard water spots in the glass and in the paint. So the first thing you want to do is obviously thoroughly wash your car. Now, when you wash your car, you want to use a very acidic shampoo that is meant for kind of removing the very light, very minor water spots. So in this case, these shampoos are great because they're both great at removing, you can see here, powerful, versatile, acidic car shampoo for hard water and tough dirt. So this shampoo was specifically designed for water spots and minerals. Also cost chemi reactivation shampoo. You can see there descaling soap for ceramic coatings. And now the pH on this one, as you can see, is 1, just the chemical. But when you put it in water, it turns into, I think, around a 3. These are going to help you start breaking down the minerals in the hard water spots. Okay, so first we have to determine what creates those hard water spots, those mineral spots. Basically, depending on your water. So most of the time when people park by a sprinkler, the water on the sprinkler is very hard. What does that mean? That means the parts per million is very high. In other words, that water has a lot of minerals. The harder the water is, the more minerals there is in the water, then the more difficult it will be to remove the water spot from the vehicle. So another thing is when people wash their car using tap water, the tap water in most areas has very high mineral count. So when you wash your car in those circumstances and don't dry right away or forget to dry certain water spots, certain water droplets, those water droplets are gonna get baked by the sun onto the clear coat, inside the clear coat. In other words, they're gonna etch the paint, they're gonna etch the glass, they're gonna etch the vehicle surfaces. So that's why you should try to wash your car using deionized water or water that has a softener, or basically make sure that when you wash your car using tap water, you dry it immediately without letting any sun dry the water. That's what's gonna create some of the water spots. The more minerals the water has, the hotter the sun was on the panels, and the longer time that you let those spots dwell in the vehicle or don't remove those water spots, the longer time you go without removing them, then the harder it will be to remove the hard water spots. But if it was very recent and the sun didn't really bake it into the clear coat, it didn't really etch it, then it will be easier to remove. So as I mentioned, you want to start by washing using an acidic shampoo, and then you want to decontaminate the surfaces using a synthetic clay or a clay bar. That's going to also start helping it break down. Now, some people believe that a clay bar removes water spots. Actually, that's not true at all. But you do want to have the surface free of bonded contaminants because it's going to help you. So when you wash your car, right after that, use a clay bar or a synthetic clay to remove the bonded contaminants from the surfaces you're going to treat. So if it was a very minor water spot that was very recent, perhaps the shampoo will remove it by itself. It does happen sometimes. But most cases, people don't realize they left hard water spots. They stay there for a long time, so this won't be enough. So then you're gonna move on to the next step, which is to use a dedicated water spot remover. Now, amazingly enough, chemical guys, they don't make a lot of great products, but one product that they do make that is better than pretty much all the other companies, even the top-notch companies, is their water spot remover. This heavy-duty water spot remover. This stuff really works. This stuff is legit. So this is one of the few products chemical guys really nailed, and it's a gel-like thing. So basically, you're gonna need an applicator, and you're gonna apply your hard water spot remover to the surface and let it dwell without letting it dry completely. So you got to be very careful about that. You got to be very vigilant and make sure it doesn't dry. So preferably work in a shaded area, but I'm going to showcase for you guys what you would do. After that, you have to neutralize your hard water spot using a rinseless wash solution. So that's what we have here in our bucket. We have rinseless wash. So you want to neutralize that. In many cases, that will be enough to remove the water spot. However, if that's not enough, then you're going to move to the next step, which is you're going to use this Clarity Cream from P&S. As you can see here, it removes water spots from glass. So this one is dedicated for glass, and you're gonna use a medium to high cutting pad on a polisher, and you're gonna polish the area. And 99.9% of the time, that will remove all water spots. Now, a lot of people on the internet will just tell you, just polish the surface and that will remove the hard water spots. However, that's not true. Sometimes when people polish it, because they polish for a long time, it creates heat. That heat swells the paint, and that swelling of the paint, it makes it look like it removed the water spot, but it's only temporary because the paint has been swollen due to the heat of the polisher. When the paint cools back down, some of those water spots will come back. It's just like when people do shampoo extraction on seats and upholstery and they don't neutralize the area. The stain may look like it's gone, but then it comes back to the surface, which is called wicking. So the same kind of scenario and principle happens with water spots. So you first have to remove the minerals in the spot, then remove the actual stain, the actual spot, the visible part. You have to chemically attack it and then mechanically attack it. Okay, so we already washed and decontaminated this glass, and the shampoo wasn't enough as expected because it's been there for a long time. So now we're gonna move on to applying our hard water spot remover. So again, this is a gel. So you wanna put in your applicator and spread this liberally. And basically, we're just gonna apply it to the affected areas. And working in the shade is very important if possible, because the longer you let the product dwell, the better, and the more time it'll have to work. So, but if you do have to work in sun, like here I am, just make sure it doesn't dry completely. So you want to let it dwell for 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And one thing you can do is, if you are working in the sun like I am, you can reapply the product where it is drying. Okay? So now, after we let it dwell for about 30 seconds to 2 minutes, we're going to take a towel which is dampened with rinseless wash solution, and we're gonna neutralize the area and clean it off, removing the hard water spot chemical with this. So we neutralize the area using our rinseless wash, and then we're gonna take a drying towel and we're gonna inspect and see if that was enough to remove the water spot. Okay, so we're gonna take our towel, drying towel, and then dry the area off. And after inspecting, it definitely took some of it off, but no, there's still a lot remaining. So now we have to move to our next step, which is to polish the area using Clarity Clean from P&S, which is a glass cleaner which removes water spots. A product I highly recommend also for these situations is DIY Details Gold Standard Polish. And the reason why this is really great for these circumstances is because this is a polish which is pad dependent. In other words, it will cut or finish according to the polishing pad that you use with it. If you use a very aggressive cutting pad, it will give you more cutting power. And if you use a light polishing pad, that will give you light polishing. The reason, however, why this is a great product is because this product doesn't stain rubber trim or the seals around windows. So for example, since I have, as you can see here, hard water spots here in this glass here, but then you see that I have this rubber or plastic trim around the windows. Even on this plastic trim here, there's water spots. So this polish is not gonna stain this trim and make it white. That's why this is super beneficial. But if we're just working on glass here, that I don't really have to worry about it, then this Clarity Cream is a good product as well. So both of these are great. You may need to use both. Okay, so now we're gonna take our polisher with the microfiber pad, And we're gonna spread our clarity cream. And in the first pass, we're gonna put a very liberal amount because we wanna fill the pad with it. And you wanna use the polisher at around 4,000 RPM, 4,500, around that, which is like a 4 in a Rupes polisher. So that removes a lot of it, a lot of the visible, but actually there's still some left. So we're gonna have to do a second pass, which is why I wanted to show you this real life scenario. As you can see, there's not any one straightforward answer how to do it because every circumstance is different. Every scenario is different. So in this case, I can either step up my pad to a more cutting pad, or I can do a second round, a second pass with the polisher and remove whatever is remaining. So that will be up to you. So perhaps I would say do a second pass with it and hopefully it removes everything. But if not, then you might need to step up your pad to a more aggressive one. Now, it did remove most of the obvious and visible, but when you look at it from a certain angle, you can still see the water spots. I can definitely see a big difference, but there's still a good amount left. So I'm going to do another pass with it. Okay, so what does that tell us? That simply tells us that the water spots had been on the glass for a very long time and that the water was very hard. So in parts per million, it had a lot of minerals. So now we have to decipher what we want to do. We can either reapply the hard water spot remover one more time in the areas where it didn't take it off, let it dwell again, and then neutralize it and go again with the polisher. Or we can just go again with the polisher and see what that achieves us. Or we may have to upgrade to a more aggressive cutting pad. So that's why each scenario is different because of the different variables. How long it's been there, how hard the water is, how long you let the chemical dwell. All those things have to be taken into account when working on water spots. Okay, so as you can see, the water spots are no more. The glass looks crystal clear again. It is dirty from the inside. But this one was a very difficult scenario actually. So I want to show you what I had to do. I had to do another pass of the heavy duty water spot remover chemical, neutralize it, and then I have to use this. This is a dedicated glass pad, as you can see here. It's very thin. It's a different material and it's for glass. The only problem it's a 6-inch. And so I have all this extra flap because my polisher is a 5-inch. So I can only use it around the middle, but closer to the edges, this is not good because it can damage the paint. So I had to switch to this one, which is a cutting microfiber pad, a heavy cut for the edges. So I had to do a couple more passes, but as you can see, compared to before, the glass is now crystal clear again. And that's how you would do it. So what it did tell me is that the water spots had been on there for years because they were really hard to remove. But not all scenarios are like that. So that's why I wanted to show you a full in-depth of everything you're going to need in that scenario. The car has water spots all over as well, and then the other glass. So if you were to work on paint, the only difference, instead of using this clarity cream polish from P&S, you would use this one, DIY Details Gold Standard Polish, or a compound or polish of your choice. I just highly recommend this one because, like I told you, it will not stain the trim here and I don't have to tape it, compared to if I had to use a different polish that might stain it there. All right, and the last thing you want to do is after you remove all the water spots, you want to put some form of protection in your glass and in your paint. So here I have, even though it's in bead maker bottle, it's Tech 582 ceramic detail spray. As you can see, is yellow. So you want to just, put protection on your glass. That way it gives you more time before you get water spots next time if you park next to a sprinkler. And it gives you more time before the water etches onto the glass or paint. So make sure you add some form of protection after you're done removing the water spots. Okay, so if you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section. Thankfully, I'm gonna have all the products that I use linked, so if you wanna get them, if you need them, you can check them out and get them for yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.